The Chinese armed forces will fight to the very end if anyone dares to split Taiwan out of China, said State Councilor and Defense Minister General Wei Fenghe in a speech delivered at the Shangri-La Dialogue on Sunday. Threatening to stop Taiwan from declaring independence, State Councilor and Minister of National Defense General Wei Fenghe declared in a speech, "Taiwan independence a dead end. Stop the delusion. Soliciting foreign support will never work. Don't ever think about it." Taiwan is part of China. The Taiwan question belongs to China's internal affairs, and national reunification will definitely become a reality, Wei said. Wei said that reunification is a great cause for the Chinese nation, and it's a historical trend that no one and no force can stop. Peaceful reunification is the greatest wish of the Chinese people, and we have the utmost sincerity and are willing to make the greatest efforts to achieve that. We're still making every effort with the greatest sincerities to deliver peaceful reunification now. The Taiwan question arose out of the weakness and chaos of the Chinese nation and is a legacy of China's civil war. But it'll surely be resolved as the Chinese nation achieves its rejuvenation, Wei said. According to him, those who pursue Taiwan independence in an attempt to split China will come to no good end. And as the Democratic Progress Party Authority attempted to change the status quo that both the mainland and Taiwan belong to China, refused to recognize the 1992 consensus, pursued incremental independence, and acted as a pawn of anti-China foreign groups. It'll only be used and abandoned by its masters. China's stand on this matter was also made clear to the USA by Wei. China will not flinch from war if Taiwan takes a decisive step toward independence, and it doesn't trust the United States' assertions that it opposes that course for the island, the Chinese defense minister has warned Sunday, a day after U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin accused Beijing of increasingly bellicose activity near Taiwan. Following this, Wei said, "The U.S. fought a civil war for its unity, and though China doesn't want such a civil war, it'll resolutely crush any attempt that pursues Taiwan's independence. Let me make this clear. If anyone dares to split Taiwan out of China, we will not hesitate to fight. We will fight at all costs. We will fight to the very end. This is the only choice for China." Foreign interference is also doomed to failure. Some country has violated their promise on the One China principle, supporting Taiwan separatist forces moves that go against the tide of history, playing the Taiwan card against China, often signing the so-called Taiwan Relations Act, which is a domestic law to interfere in the internal affairs of another country. China firmly opposes to such acts. I hereby want to make it clear to those seeking Taiwan independence and those behind them. The pursuit of Taiwan independence is a dead end, a delusion. Soliciting foreign support will not work, and they should never think about it. There is no doubt these comments indicate that USA itself and China don't want any interference in this matter, as they think Vietnam is one of their parts and the USA is interfering with their domestic or internal matter. In his speech to diplomats, defense officials, and security experts at a five-star hotel, Mr. Wei said that China was sincerely doing everything it could to bring about peaceful unification with Taiwan, the self-governed island that Beijing considers its own. But he said no one should ever underestimate the resolve and capabilities of China's armed forces to defend its sovereignty claims. For the sake of unification, the United States fought the war between the North and South. China is most unwilling to go through a civil war like that, but will resolutely smash any schemes for Taiwan's independence. If anyone dares to split off Taiwan, we will not hesitate to fight. We will not flinch from the cost and will fight to the very end. China has long said that it would take Taiwan by force if necessary, and Mr. Wei's comments left plenty of uncertainty about what Xi Jinping and other leaders in Beijing would consider a threshold event that justified doing so. But the comments from Mr. Wei, Mr. Austin, and others at the Singapore meeting have underscored how Taiwan remains the most volatile point of contention between China and the United States and its allies. Officials and experts disagree on how imminent a military clash over Taiwan might be, but most believe that the danger is rising as the People's Liberation Army moves closer to amassing the equipment and skills needed to make invasion a plausible, if daunting and profoundly costly option. Mr. Wei and Mr. Austin held talks Friday that covered regional issues and the war in Ukraine, as well as efforts to strengthen communications between the US and Chinese militaries and avoid dangerous military misjudgments. Austin told the forum Saturday that China was engaged in provocative and destabilizing military activities near Taiwan. He also said that the Biden administration did not support Taiwan's independence and remained committed to a one China principle, which acknowledges but doesn't endorse Beijing's position on Taiwan. On Sunday, Mr. Wei indicated, without naming the United States, that Chinese leaders do not believe in such reassurances. Since 1979, when it ended formal ties with Taiwan and extended diplomatic recognition to China, the United States has continued to sell arms to the island. U.S. law also requires that Washington be ready to resist any resort to force against Taiwan, leaving open the possibility that the U.S. military could step in if China tried to invade. Mr. Austin said in Singapore that the United States was committed to maintaining its capacity to resist any use of force or other forms of coercion that could imperil Taiwan. Chinese policymakers have accused the Biden administration and Donald Trump's administration before it of steadily upgrading its political and military support for Taiwan. Beijing has expressed particular scorn for Tsai Ing-wen, the current president of Taiwan, who has rejected China's preconditions for talks on the island's future. Taiwan's next presidential election in 2024 could create another flashpoint. A growing number of people in Taiwan reject the idea that they are actually and historically part of China, and an overwhelming majority say they do not accept Beijing's framework for unification. In a Saturday speech, Mr. Austin blamed China for the current tensions over Taiwan, citing an alarming increase in the number of unsafe aerial intercepts and confrontations at sea by People's Liberation Army planes and vessels. Richard Marles, the defense minister of Australia, told the Singapore Forum that China should offer more reassurances about its military buildup. Mr. Wei said it was a historical and strategic mistake for Washington to treat China as an adversary. He called on the United States to stop attacking and smearing China and to stop interfering in China's internal affairs. Unless it does so, ties will not improve, Mr. Wei added. If you want confrontation, we will fight to the end, he said. And finally, Wei said, the wheels of history roll on and no one can stop China's path toward reunification. No one should ever underestimate the strong determination, firm will, and powerful capability of the Chinese armed forces to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity.